Welcome to Floor Joist Sizing Basics. My name is Dan Harris, Director of Eye-Level Construction and Sales Training. And in today's session we're going to do just one thing, and that is we're going to size floor joists, and we're going to look at both conventional lumber and Framer Series lumber as well as TJIs. We're going to use conventional span charts, and in the process what we're going to end up with is a couple of varieties of options. We're going to look at those and we're going to apply pricing to them, look at the floor performance comparison to each one, and when we're done what we'll have is this list of alternates that we can give to our customer, and with that they can make a decision on what type of floor that they would prefer. So what we'll need to do on this course is we'll need the blueprints, we'll need the various span charts. There's 3 of them. All this is downloadable off the course. So right now is probably a good time to start thinking about getting that downloaded. And then something else that I think is a little bit handy that I like to do, purely optional, but I'll be using tracing paper today, and then tape to tape it down with, an eraser and a pencil, and last but not least, a scale. So if we're having troubles with finding the dimensions, or we need to dimension something off the plans, we've got it and we're ready. So with that, let's get started. So you should have your plans printed out, and what I'd like to do now is have you just follow me along and let's size some floor joists. So the plan we're working on is the Jasmine plan. We can see the front elevation. We can see it's got some brick. It's 2-story in a portion of the house, and that gives us an idea of some things that we may need later on as we go through this. And we're going to scroll straight through to the basement or foundation plan. And we're going to use this for our first floor framing. Now the reason why we're going to use the basement foundation plan for the first floor framing is because this lines out all the bearing walls that the floor joists will physically be supported on. So if we turn the page, you can see here's the first floor plan itself, but this shows all the walls above it, and what we're interested in is what are those joists going to bear on that support this particular floor. So remember that anytime you size floor joists, you'll always go to the level below what you want. So for the first floor we will use the basement foundation plan. For our second floor joists we'll use our first floor plan. But right now we're going to just focus on this first floor, and I'm going to use the tracing paper as I described. And then what we'll do is we'll look for a control point. Any spot that you want to get started on is fine. I'm going to pick this upper left and just follow along with me here. And what I'm going to do is just trace the outline of the floor above, and typically the first floor will follow the outline of the foundation. It's not always perfect. There may be spots where it doesn't, and we'll look for those. As we turn around the garage, for example, the garage is going to be concrete, so clearly that will not have floor joists on top of it, so we will follow the outside of the wall all the way along it. Same thing with the porch here. And notice as I'm doing this here around the porch that there's 3 lines for the foundation wall. I'm going to the interior line here, and the reason why is because that is where the brick ledge would be. So the outside wall would have brick on it. We have to subtract to that to get to where the actual floor framing would be. And so you can see now as we turn the corner, the architect has shown very clearly where the brick is, and it's very easy to follow that line. Okay, so all we're doing right now is just the exterior bearing walls. So that gives us the basic outline of that first floor. Now let's take a look at the first floor and see if there are some areas we have to be concerned with. And as we look at this, the left-hand side is straight. That follows the foundation. The right side does. It looks like the front and the dining room and the foyer and so on. That lines up pretty nicely. But at this back wall here, there is a optional bay and there is a fireplace. So let's take a look at our drawing again here. And you can see that the architect's actually shown where the cantilever is for the fireplace. And we'll just make the assumption that the bay window will be in there. There's 2 types of bays. There's ones that you can physically walk out on, which this one is, which is why it's dotted in, which means the floor joist will cantilever this distance over into it. But there's other bay windows that are actually raised up off the floor, so keep your eye out for those instances. If it's raised off the floor, then the floor would not be cantilevered out. So we've got that in place. Now let's go through and finish up our foundation walls. We want to get the thickness in here. And there's a couple reasons why I like to use this tracing paper too that you should be aware of. One is it keeps the plans clean, so if you've had to borrow a set that someone expects to get back, you'll have a record of it and the plans will come back nice and clean. The other thing is there's a lot of stuff that can be on a set of plans, and what this does is help to isolate your thinking to just those bearing points for the purposes of sizing joists, and we can get rid of the extraneous information. Then the last thing, before I get into the interior bearing here, is I want to take a look at one more thing, which is stairs. And you can see that in the foundation there will be stairs coming up to our first floor. What we want to find out is what's the area we have to block off where there's not going to be any floor joists, but there will be stairs. So again, we'll turn to our first floor framing, and if what we want to look for is where do the stairs start and go down, and that's right at this location here. There's a line right across this wall that shows stairs down, and it's roughly 4 feet 7.5 inches or so off the edge of this wall here. I'm not going to get concerned with the exact detail, and this is not the place to get picky about this. What we know is that somewhere around here, and they've got a wall below it, and it looks like it's going to follow this wall here. We're going to line this out on the inside. We're not sure exactly where the stairs are going to stop here, but let's go back to our first floor again. And you can see right here at this doorway, we're actually coming up again. So the floor will stop right here, and that means this whole area is open for stairs either going down or going up. So we'll go ahead and make a line across here. Again, our purpose here is just to size floor joist, not to get a detailed drawing in place. And then we can finish up drawing these particular walls around the stairs.